Welcome to tonight's coverage of the BTDY Racing League Chase for the BTDY Cup. There's no place like home here at the Kansas Speedway for race 1. Colorado stays bottom, slides up into 1. We cut back at the track and he gets clobbered. Here comes Loveland to the inside. Jeff Wright will come home and he'll win the race and win the winner of the playoffs at the Kansas Speedway.
Good evening, race fans. It is Tuesday night, and that can only mean one thing, that it is BTDY night in America here for the FloridaSkinDoctor.com Racing Series. We're here at Kansas Motor Speedway for the KHIO 210. It's race number 13 of the season, race number 2 of our 8-race chase for the championship. As our top 12 drivers in points continue to battle for the top prize in the series, and we are going to be bringing you all the action right here on VSPEED. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. My name is Daniel Cunningham, joined alongside me in the booth, pulling double duty as always, producing, co-commentating Lucas Lyons. We've also got our cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lucas, you and I have seen a lot of good racing this season. We're going to one of my personal favorite tracks here at Kansas Speedway. Always puts on a really good show. How you feeling? What do you think we've got to look forward to here this evening?
Yeah, Daniel, I'm really excited. Kansas put on some great racing in real life with a great finish between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher and an absolute photo finish. And we've seen a handful of photo finishes here in BTDY, and I expect tonight to be no different. We saw a great race between Keith Miato and Brody Hayes duking it out in the middle of the race. Ultimately, Keith Miato comes out on top for that race, but I'm excited tonight, Daniel.
Indeed, we have seen quite a few really awesome finishes here in BTDY, a lot of them at Kansas, and from what we've seen in practice, if it's any indication, these drivers are going to put on a really good show here for us this evening. Mentioned that championship battle that we are just kicking off. We started last week at Rockingham. Let's take a look at our points to show you where your favorite driver is currently running in that championship battle. Brody Hayes, still the points leader by 10 points over Keith Miato, the two drivers that have won the most this season. Keith kicked off the chase for the championship last week with that win at Rockingham. Bailey Turner, 14 points back in third. You got Chris Samard fourth, Eric Hutton fifth, Levi Cox, Michael Robinson, Ryan Phillips, Noah Mahalski, and Jake Maki, your top 10. Jeremiah Hobbs and Jace Cully rounding out your championship field right now. Just 44 points, top to bottom. You can see it's a really tight battle here as we just got started with that, especially up there at the top. Our top 3 drivers in wins, top 3 in the points, only 14 points between them. I also want to give a quick shout out to that championship, or not championship, but for that battle for 13th, something we did touch on a little bit last week as well. Just because those drivers are out of the championship, they still have plenty to race for as we get through the end of the season. 13th place, the highest driver in points that did not make the championship, is actually guaranteed entry into the series next season, a paid entry into the BTDY series for next season. So plenty to race for these drivers. And Lucas, we've talked about the track, talked about what a great speedway Kansas is and puts on a lot of racing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Kansas Speedway?
Yeah, so as Daniel said, we're at Kansas Speedway tonight, located in Kansas City, Kansas. It's a 1.5 mile tri-oval with 17 degrees in the turns, and it's also a progressively banked track, if I'm not mistaken, with 10 degrees of banking in the front stretch, and it opened June 1st of 2001. Going to our race analysis. Race length, 140 laps with a competition caution at lap 30. If there's caution after lap 15, that will be declared the competition caution with a pit road speed of 45 miles an hour. 4 tire sets available, 3 green white checkered attempts, 80% fuel load in these cars, with a fuel run lasting about 38 to 42 laps, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lucas, you did mention the progressive banking here. That is one of the things that really makes Kansas such a unique speedway compared to some of the other mile and a halfs that we go to. It kind of reminds you of Kansas a little bit, or I'm sorry, not Kansas. We're at Kansas. It reminds you of Homestead. I forget where we're at sometimes, but yeah, it reminds you of Homestead. It makes it multi-groove. You can kind of straddle some of the different seams to make the car rotate or do different things depending on, if you're trying to get a little bit of air on the front of it, if you're battling tight or loose. So I think that's what makes it one of my favorite tracks that we go to, is just it's a driver's track and it gives you a lot of different options for how to drive it.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. You can definitely use the bottom to attack and do slide jobs coming out of turns 2 and 4. And we've seen it's kind of similar. It reminds me a lot of Chicagoland with how the racing can be sometimes. And it might be a top dominant track, or the low line might prevail, but we'll have to see what happens with these modified setups here by the BTDY admins here tonight.
You are correct, and definitely appreciate the work that they've put in with these setups. I believe Cody Atkins has been spearheading that, putting in the work to get these setups freed up a little bit and give us some really good racing here. But folks, the drivers have put in their qualifying laps. We are ready to take the grid, and we are ready to show you the starting grid. Tonight's pole winner going to be picking up right where he left off last week with his victory. Keith Mayato in that 36 car. Bailey Turner to his outside in the 24, going to be starting second. 2 of our championship contenders up there on the front row. Starting in third is going to be the 31 car of Jeremiah Hobbs with Brody Hayes, another one of our big 3 heavy hitters in the championship, starting up there in fourth. Rolling off in fifth tonight is going to be Angelo Ronas in the 029 with Ray Massey starting in sixth. Starting in seventh, Cody Atkins in the 55, Chris Samard in the 77 starting in eighth. Rounding out our top 10 here this evening, Seth Hatchell starting in ninth. Great to see him back out there on the track. We appreciate having Seth out there. Really awesome to see him here this evening. And Eric Hutton rounding out our top 10.
Starting in the 11th position, we have Noah Mahalski, and right to his outside, Michael Robinson starting in 12th. And 13th, we have Dennis Fairclough and Jace Coley in 14th. And 15th, we have Ryan Phillips in the 27. And starting in 16th, we have Paul Hahn in the 25. 17th, we have Rob Liedl in the 080, and Jake Maki in the 13th, starting in 18th. Rounding out our top 20, we have our third heavy hitter. Not used to seeing him in the back of Levi Cox in the 53, starting 19th, and Adrian Loya in the 30, starting 20th.
Another big name driver starting from the back this evening. AJ Stravato did not turn a lap time in qualifying. That 33 car going to roll off in 21st with Max Koss to his outside in 22nd. Starting in 23rd is going to be one of the admins here, Dallas Sullivan in the 46 with James Loveland starting in 24th. And rounding out our field, we've got Alan Dice starting in 25th, Zach Smith starting in 26th. And that is going to set the 26 car grid here this evening for the KHIO 210. Lucas, they are lined up double file coming off a pit road. We are just half a lap away from green here this evening. These drivers got to be ready to go. Going to be up on the wheel here as soon as we get rolling with a lot of our playoff drivers, or I should say chase drivers, not playoff drivers. A lot of our chase drivers up here near the front. Going to be a really good show here this evening. And it's going to be Keith Mayato in that 36 V-Speed machine, leading them down to the green flag. Pace car makes the hard left on the pit road. They are approaching the flag stand. Barney's got that green flag in hand. He's got it in the air. We are underway here for the KHIO 210 at Kansas Speedway. As you can see, coming off a turn 2, side by side, neither driver on that front row breaking away just yet. Bailey Turner with a little bit of momentum up on that high groove, trying to take the fight to Keith Mayato. Looks like he might have the momentum. They're still side by side off of 2. This is going to be really close for the battle back to the line. Believe Mayato got him by just a bumper as they got to the line, but still side by side, 3 rows deep. They're basically pack racing here at Kansas.
Yeah, it's definitely like we're back at Daytona or Talladega. These drivers can't get away from one another as Brody Hayes looks to the inside of Jeremiah Hobbs in turn 3 and 4. Not going to be able to get clear, though. It's going to slide back in the top line as Bailey Turner's looking to the inside of Keith Mayato.
Yeah, Bailey Turner with a big head of steam off of turn 4 there. Tried to pull the crossover on Keith Mayato. He's going to be on the inside. They are driving really tight on one another. 2 of our championship contenders battling for the lead here early on. Mayato with the momentum down the back straightaway. He's going to try to clear, but Bailey Turner still holding strong on the inside lane with Jeremiah Hobbs close behind in third.
Yeah, while 2 chase drivers battle it out for the lead right now. 2 more chase drivers right on their heels of Jeremiah Hobbs and Brody Hayes as they are still side by side in turn 1, not giving an inch, only 4 laps into this race.
And really impressive that Bailey Turner's been able to hang with the 36 of Mayato down there on the bottom with a little bit of help from Jeremiah Hobbs. Keith Mayato going to clear to the lead. Bailey Turner still in that battle for second position here. See him starting to get a little bit strung out, but still not very much separation between these drivers. See Keith Mayato trying to just block the runs from where they come as Bailey Turner right there on him. They're going to be looking 3 wide for the lead off of turn 2.
Yeah, this is amazing stuff. Early in the race, drivers trying to push out as much as they can with these tires to see what the tire wear is once our competition caution comes out at lap 30. So drivers really driving for all it's worth right now to get a little bit of data early in the race to see how they have to drive later on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. With that competition caution that we know we're going to have by lap 30, no sense in saving right now. Burn them down, see how they hold up, see what you can do. Bailey Turner trying to block the runs from wherever they are coming. He is cleared to the lead. Angelo Ronis looking to the inside of Keith Mayato for second here. Jeremiah Hobbs falling back to 4th. He was putting it up there on the boards, running the Larson line earlier, trying to get some momentum. Still hanging tough with these leaders. Brody Hayes right there as well in the 5th position.
Yeah, how about Angelo Ronis battling for second position right now with one of our most winning drivers of Keith Mayato, showing that even though he's not in the chase, it's still his track to run, really putting a tough battle to Keith, and he's about to get clear off of turn 4. Let's see if he slides up, Daniel.
Yeah, it looks like not quite able to get up there and clear for that second position. Keith Mayato still able to hang just to the outside of that 029 car. Looks like Angelo going to be able to clear easily for second now. And, it was interesting going down the back straightaway that last time. Bailey Turner, I'm not sure if he was trying to break the draft or maybe give a little draft to both lanes behind him to keep them side by side. But definitely a little bit of snaking going on down that back straightaway, trying to just manipulate the lines however he can.
Yeah, he might just be trying to aero block, because I know you know it better than most, Daniel. When me and you would race together, you would always like to dump as much dirty air on my nose as you could to make it hard for me to even get a run up to you. Bailey Turner might be taking a page out of your book and implementing it here at Kansas.
Yeah, guilty as charged. That was one of my favorite pastimes. That was back when we were running the Gen 6 car. Like to mess with you a little bit. Got to have a little bit of fun when you're out there. And speaking of fun, right now, these top three are literally nose to tail on the track. Not a whole lot of separation, still kind of grouped really close together. As you can see, Angelo Rodas maybe got the 24, just a little arrow loose there, maybe packing a little air on the back of that 24 car. He's going to look to the inside. He's trying to take the lead and play spoiler here. Looks like he might have clipped the apron just a bit of a wiggle out of the 29.
Oh, and a little bit of contact between Jeremiah Hobbs and Ray Massey in the back. It looks like Jeremiah got a little bit loose coming out of turn 4. Daniel, we're still side by side as Ronis makes a little bit of contact with Brody Hayes coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, they are 3 wide for second here. Not sure if that was actual contact or a little bit of net code, but either way, a wiggle out of the 37 when the 029 moved up the track. Ray Massey there on the bottom. Death Hatchell, he's close behind. You got Eric Hutton. You've also got Cody Atkins, Noah Mahalski trying to get their way in there as James Loveland goes through the infield grass. Not going to bring out a caution, able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but definitely not the way that he was hoping to start off here. Back up front, though, they are still all over one another, battling for position. The top 10 cars right now are only separated by about a second. You could really throw a blanket over this field right now.
Yeah, you definitely can. As the top 3 start to break away, it is still side by side with Seth Hatchell and Brody Hayes right now battling for that 4th position. Like you said, Daniel, it's really nice to have Seth Hatchell back out there on track, and he's battling with his teammate in Brody Hayes.
Yeah, awesome to see him out there. Good to have Seth back in the league tonight. Another driver that I want to spotlight real quick, we had mentioned starting a little bit further back in the pack, did not take a time in qualifying, is going to be that 33 of AJ Stravado. He is already up 12 positions inside the top 10, running 9th. Some of these other drivers might be saying they're having a little bit of difficulty working their way up, but that 33 machine is having absolutely none of that. He has made short work of getting up through this field so far.
Yeah, AJ is known for driving through the field while still conserving his stuff. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out after this competition caution coming at lap 30. As Dallas Sullivan
That's Dallas Sullivan in the back. He is through the infield grass, got loose off of turn 4. Again, almost exactly identical to what we saw with James Loveland. Going to be able to keep it straight. No caution, still rolling, but up front, oh, Keith Mayato into the wall just a little bit. Bailey Turner to the inside the block. Mayato says, I don't care if I caught the wall or not. I'm still going to try to go for the lead. He's going to fall back to second with Ray Massey getting onto the apron. Big slide out of the 23. He saves it. These drivers are fighting these cars right now, trying to get everything they can out of it. But up front, we got our big 3, Bailey Turner, Keith Mayato, Brody Hayes have found their way to the top 3 positions, and they are all hunting the lead.
Yeah, let's not forget what happened to Bailey Turner at Charlotte late in the race. Brody Hayes gets into him a little bit, ruins his chances of winning that race, and then later on, contact between Brody Hayes and AJ Stravado. And AJ Stravado has been running through the field as we hit on earlier in the race, so I'm really interested to see what's going to happen when all 3 of those drivers start to duke it out later on in this race, Daniel.
Lucas, are you implying that race car drivers, whether they're real life or virtual, don't forget things that may or may not have happened to them before?
I plead the 5th. Is that a viable answer?
Yeah. You know what? We'll just let you plead the 5th on that, because I may or may not plead the 5th on that myself. So, but you're right. Race car drivers don't forget. You might be thinking, you know what? You got a little bit more to lose than I do right now. If you're AJ Stravado, you know, you might be having that in the back of your mind for how you race some of these guys. You see Bailey Turner there down the back straightaway, still trying to break that draft and get just whatever he can, little bit of advantage to try to pull away from this field. Brody Hayes now up to second. He is still in hot pursuit. And Lucas, you kind of touched on this driver a little bit as we went through our grid pre-race. I said we had a big 3. It's really a big 4. The 54 of Levi Cox has also been one of our top runners this season. and he has worked his way up 12 places. He's now up to 7th. So another big mover here as the battle for the lead is on. Hayes to the inside, Turner to the outside. Brody Hayes going to try to make the pass stick, not quite clear. Bailey Turner able to use a little side draft there. Brody Hayes did lead that last lap, but Bailey Turner not giving it up that easy. He's still hanging on the outside of that 37.
Yeah, with what happened at Charlotte, I wouldn't be surprised if Bailey Turner runs Brody Hayes all the way down the racetrack with only a car width between the apron and Bailey Turner, if I can get the words out tonight, Daniel, as the 30 spins out of turn 4 and
the 2 leaders are spinning. Bailey Turner, Brody Hayes, both through the infield grass as there was a car stopped just off the track surface. I'm going to pull this up on the VSPEED instant replay. That looked like the 30 of Adrian Loya. Caution flag is now out on the speedway, but that has a lot of championship implications here. They are battling hard with one another, and you can see just there was a car to the inside, and I think they were both trying to give one another room to miss the car that was down on the inside. We have to take another look here. Let's look on board the 37 of Brody Hayes. Really fantastic battle for the lead going on here between our top 2 runners. See, just off in the distance there is one of, I believe that is the 30 that ended up spinning. He gets down on the apron, and yeah, it looks like they're just trying to avoid as the car of Adrian Loya was stopped partway out on the track. So just try to give each other a little bit of room, and just both of them go around. They're going to be scored in 20th and 21st here now after that incident. That's going to hand the lead to Keith Mayato, and this caution is going to serve as our competition caution. That's a lot to unpack there in 1 point, Lucas.
Yeah, that definitely is. And it just looked like Brody Hayes got a little bit loose. Wasn't expecting Adrian Loya to be at the bottom of the racetrack, and the air might have just messed with him just enough to get him loose, which caused contact between him and Bailey Turner. But if I was Bailey Turner, I would have thought it was something completely different.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot to be in, and you know, even just looking at that onboard from the 37 of Brody Hayes, again, there was just that ever so slight twitch of the wheel back to the right where it was like he was just trying to give a little extra room to not get into the 30. But at any point, that's going to be our comp caution. Race off a pit road. Lucas, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if that was Mayato or Hatchell that got out first. It looked like it was about a dead heat to the line. I believe Keith Mayato is going to hold serve here and keep the lead over the 8 of Seth Hatchell. But that's definitely a massive shakeup to our running order, with 2 of our dominant cars here early on now going to be mired back in traffic.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something that we need to follow throughout the race to see how they navigate back up to the lead. We're going to have the V-Speed front row with Keith Mayato and Seth Hatchell, then Angelo Ronis, and then Noah Maholsky in that second row, Daniel.
Yeah, just to give a quick top 10 rundown after the 4th place driver, you've got Ray Massey in 5th, Levi Cox up to 6th, Jace Cully in 7th, Eric Hutton in 8th, Cody Atkins in 9th, Chris Samard in 10th. And as you can see there, lights are out on the pace car, getting the 1 to green here. And just to finish up a little bit of housekeeping, Bailey Turner going to shake out in 18th, Brody Hayes in 19th after all is said and done with the pit stops, the incident, and everything. So they've definitely got their work cut out for them, but they have shown the speed to be able to get up there and get back to the front of this field.
Yeah, with them leading a majority of the race so far. One thing we haven't touched about with the race, though, Daniel, is the weather. 86 degrees air temp with 110 degrees track temp, Daniel. So these cars are probably slipping and sliding around like we've seen multiple drivers do so far. So grip might play a factor as the race goes on.
Yeah, it absolutely will. This track does wear out tires, and the track temp being up there at 110 Definitely seen hotter, but not going to help the cause for the tire wear. But at this point, pace car making that hard left onto pit road. Field is in control of Keith Mayato, bringing us to the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Really good jump for Keith Mayato on the front row there. Side by side behind them for second here between Seth Hatchell and Angelo Ronis as they head down into turn one.
Yeah, and behind both of them, we have Ray Massey and Noah Mahalski side by side. And one driver that we were talking about earlier really didn't get to talk about with the battle for the lead heating up. Levi Cox is all the way up to the 5th position, running that top line and gaining even more, trying to get up to that lead and get that bonus point for leading a lap. Now up to 4th in just 1 lap. So we'll have to see how the tires hold out as they're 3 wide entering turn 1.
Indeed, they are 3 wide. Levi Cox up on the top. You've got Noah Mahalski in the middle, Ray Massey on the bottom. They are still 3 wide off of turn 2 with Eric Hutton, Jace Cully in line behind them. Going to settle it out and get back to 2 wide here. Eric Hutton trying to make something happen. Thinking about looking middle there, not quite close enough. Levi Cox is going to be able to clear for that 4th position. And you called it, Lucas. We touched on it just a little bit before we had that caution. Levi Cox now up 15 spots over where he started this race. Definitely the biggest mover of the night so far. And he's going to try to gain 3 more. As you can see, the positions gained or lost over there on the left-hand side. Levi didn't do himself any favors with starting in the back, but he is making a good night of it so far.
Yeah, and other drivers who are up 6 positions that are also worth mentioning: Seth Hatchell, Noah Mahalski, and Jace Coley, all up 6 positions. So still a really good night for all those drivers as well. We'll have to see how they play out as the race goes on.
Absolutely, and even though it showed down 9 positions, Bailey Turner already back in the top 10. Brody Hayes there in 11th. So down from where they started, but already up about 7-8 spots from where they restarted, trying to make some short work as they get back up through this field. As we see 2-3 wide down into turn 1. That's Hutton, Massey, and I believe that's Noah Mahalski in the middle there. They get it sorted out back to 2 wide by the exit of 2, but these drivers are really showcasing why, honestly, why this is one of my favorite racetracks. You just have so many options for where you can run here.
Yeah, and one thing that we really didn't touch on either is you see that most of the drivers here running the apron. It is allowed here. The only track that's not allowed is Daytona and Talladega. And Chase Coley gets in to Ronis. Ronis is going to lose a bunch of spots, losing all of his momentum, going to fall back to the 13th position.
Yes, it looked like Jace Cully got just a little bit loose there on the inside of Angelo Ronis. Actually able to hear him on the session race comms apologizing to Angelo as soon as that happened. So unfortunate for Angelo Ronis. If you're a fan of that driver rooting for him tonight, gonna have a little bit of work here after that incident. But still a good job to save it, keep it out of the wall. Let's take a look. Speaking of Jace Cully, he's got Bailey Turner there in front of him. As that was Ray Massey that made a big move to the inside, not quite able to make a move for position. But up here at the front, we've been talking about him since this stage or competition caution. Levi Cox is going for the lead. He made the move on Seth Hatchell for second rather. He's trying to get the lead from Keith Mayato, putting it up there on the boards. Not quite on the Larson line, but he's making that top side work better than really anybody else that I've seen so far.
Yeah, he's definitely the one who's been able to run it the most. And as soon as he gets to the lead, he drops back down to the bottom, trying to save what's left of the tires. Because, Daniel, you run the top for as long as he did, you're going to hurt your tires. So we'll have to see what happens as Brody Hayes is falling back. Not really sure what happened to him. Going to lose a bunch of spots. Was up to 5th, like you said, but now falls all the way back to 10th.
Yeah, you mentioned it, back there in the 9th position now, trying to go to work on Jace Cully to take the 8th position back. And I'm with you, Lucas. I didn't quite see what happened there. If there was a little bit of contact with another driver, or not sure if he maybe touched the wall a little bit, but definitely a lot of momentum lost, as well as some track position. You also got Alan Dice in the 5 there. Cody Atkins in the 55 tried to make some moves here for position to get into the top 10. But back up front, take a look at that 24 car of Bailey Turner. He has already worked his way back into the top 5. Levi Cox continues to lead here, as Eric Hutton actually looking to the inside of Bailey Turner for that 4th position. Got Ray Massey right there behind. See if he tries to give a little bit of help to either one of these drivers, or he might just try to take it himself. He's up there trying to make that Levi Cox line work, but just not quite able to carry the momentum that we've seen out of that 54, as now Keith Mayato is going to try to go to the outside for the lead.
Yeah, this is some really great racing going on right now, with the battle between Levi and Keith heating up. And I'm pretty sure they both have a teammate in the top 4. I want to say Eric Hutton and Levi Cox. Not really too sure if they're teammates. Both in the chase, though, running in 2nd and 4th. And then you have the 2 VSPEED drivers of both Keith and Seth now running 1 and 2.
You are correct, and it's actually Bailey Turner and Eric Hutton are teammates, along with Keith Mayato and Seth Hatchell being teammates as well. So definitely some friends trying to work together up there near the front of the field. Levi Cox kind of on an island up there with no official teammates there close by, but still having a really solid run, worked his way up in that 3rd position as they currently run. And he's going to go back up to that high groove and see if he can make something happen. Eric Hutton on the inside now being shown in the 3rd position. Cox going to have the momentum off of turn 4. Again, he's the only one that I've seen really be able to carry that big run from the top side, making it work here this evening.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to channel his inner Kyle Larson right now, as he's going to get a huge run, but nowhere to go. The 2 VSPEED drivers going to box him into that top lane, and Seth Hatchell is now looking to the inside of Keith Mayato.
Got Mayato running that kind of middle line there with Seth Hatchell on the inside. Levi Cox, Eric Hutton side by side behind them for the 3rd and 4th positions. Keith Mayato going to maintain that lead for now. Levi Cox back up to the top groove. Meanwhile, most of our drivers starting to migrate to the bottom. Everybody kind of wrapping that white line through 1 and 2. Eventually, you're going to have to go where they ain't and try to pick up some positions if we see them fan out a little bit more over in 3 and 4.
Yeah, one thing I'm really starting to notice with these drivers is coming out of turn 4, you see the rear end sap out just a little bit, and that's going to kill your run going all the way from the front stretch into turn 1. So that's one thing you have to keep an eye on, is to keep that right rear under you as this race goes on, as the battle for the lead also heats up.
Levi Cox carrying that momentum from the top side. He's going to look to take the lead here. Keith Mayato fighting back on the inside lane. Got that VSPEED teammate behind him, and Seth Hatchell going to try to get a little bit of a draft here. Side by side for the lead. That one was too close to call at the line. I think Mayato had it by just about an inch or two, trying to recreate that Larson and Busher finish there early on here. But Levi Cox still hanging tough on that outside lane, able to carry that momentum. He's clear of the 36. He's going to drop down in front of him and take control.
And Daniel, I just want to give another shout out to the admins over at BTDY. The top 15 right now, separated by 1.3 seconds. Just throw a blanket over the entire top 15, because any driver right now still has a chance to win this with under 100 laps to go in this race.
You are absolutely right. The work that they put in building these setups, doing the custom setups to make these cars racier on display here this evening, as you can see just how close everyone is able to run. Levi Cox carrying that momentum, but he's got 3 VSPEED drivers in a row on that bottom lane between Mayato, Cox, and Hayes. Brody Hayes, I'll be honest, Lucas, I didn't even see him work his way back up into the top 5 there until I noticed the 3 VSPEED cars in a row on the bottom.
Yeah, the last time we talked about him, he was all the way in either 9th or 10th position. Now he's running 4th, right behind his VSPEED teammate, like you said, of Keith Mayato and Seth Hatchell. So great work driving through the back half of the top 10 clean, because his nose looks clean, but definitely making headway, going to try to get up to Levi Cox to see if he can improve his position for the playoffs in the chase.
Yeah, definitely done a really nice job of working his way up there. And shout out also to Noah Maholsky in that 0-3 car. Haven't really talked a ton about him this evening, just quietly worked his way up to that 5th position, another one of our chase drivers. So having a really solid night here, trying to get himself a few spots higher in those championship standings. But up front, they are side by side for the lead yet again. You've got Mayato on the bottom, Levi Cox running that upper groove. Levi tried to carry that momentum off the turn. Keith Mayato does have the lead. He's got help from Brody Hayes behind. He's going to be able to keep the momentum and clear this time. Brody Hayes is also going to be able to clear, put the VSPEED drivers in 1st and 2nd. Seth Hatchell also trying to follow through here to make it a VSPEED podium at the moment. But Brody Hayes ain't done yet. He's trying to look for the lead on the inside of Keith Mayato.
Yeah, the team owner over at VSPEED just letting these drivers duke it out, knowing that both of these drivers right now have a lot to lose being in the chase, with only a 10-point separation between both of these drivers. So really interested to see how it plays out between both of them. We saw a great race between these two right now of Keith Mayato and Brody Hayes at Richmond in the middle of the race, as they're still side by side.
Yeah, this is also kind of reminding me just a little bit of what we saw at Rockingham last race, where it seemed like whichever driver was out in front, maybe they got a little bit loose, or the balance changed where the trailing car was actually able to run just a little bit faster. Of course, here at Kansas, with the way that these ARCA cars are set up, the draft also going to play a factor in that as well. But right now, it's VSPEED 1 and 2. It's VSPEED running 3rd. Seth Hatchell trying to take that 3rd spot away from Levi Cox, not quite able to do it. Cox crossing over to the inside, trying to take 2nd from Brody Hayes. He's clear, he's putting the slider on him. He's going to take that 2nd spot, but Brody Hayes back to the inside, trying to take it right back.
Yeah, Brody Hayes didn't like that too much. Looked like he gave him a little bit of the bumper from the camera angle I had, and just kind of gently moves him out of the way, gets his rear end a little bit loose, and goes back to 2nd in turns 1 and 2. So we'll have to see as Billy Turner goes to the inside of Seth Hatchell, trying to get that 4th position.
They are just about 3 wide. Thinks better of it. Levi Cox way loose off of turn 4. You mentioned it, Lucas. Running that top groove, you can get those rear tires angry. Looks like he might have done just that. He's going to drop back to the 7th position here. May lose another one to Cody Atkins or AJ Stravato, as they are looking 3 wide down the back straightaway. But up front, they're still side by side. It's VSPEED top 3. Brody Hayes trying to take that top spot from teammate Keith Mayato. Keith fighting back hard on the outside. I don't know what the VSPEED equivalent of papaya rules are, but that seems to be in effect right now between these top 3 drivers.
Yeah, they're definitely laying everything that they have out on the table right now. But what I'm worried about, as we have a caution on the track right now.
We do have a caution out on the track. Did not quite see what that was for. Let's go back and take a look on the instant replay here.
Showing for his Rob Leal.
Yeah, don't really see anything there out of the 80 car, or out of the 08 car, I should say, of Rob Liedl. Oh,
Oh,
okay. Well, there it is. Looked like he was trying to get down on the pit road to come down there, trying to get down on the apron to pit rather, and just caught the apron at a wrong angle and around she went. So that's definitely going to bring out the caution here on lap 52 of 140, just over a third of the way into the KHIO 210 here at Kansas Speedway. These drivers are definitely going to be wanting to come down pit road and put some tires on. And I actually just heard, I believe it was Bailey Turner on Racecom, say they got a little stingy with the tire budget here this evening. If we keep having cautions, they may have to make some decisions on when to pit, when to put those tires on. But for now, whole field going to come down and put on those 4 fresh tires.
yeah. Talking about tires, this is their second set that they're going to be going through. So they only have 2 more sets to go, 90 more laps until the end of the race. So I'm really going to be interested to see how it plays out with the fuel run being about 38 to 42 laps, depending on how you run the car, whether you run it hard or what lane you run, as Brody Hayes is going to win the race off pit road.
And Brody Hayes able to keep that lead off of pit road. Seth Hatchell showing in second, Keith Mayato third, Bailey Turner fourth, Noah Bahalski in fifth here after the pit cycle. Rest of your top 10 going to be Eric Hutton, Angelo Ronis, Cody Atkins, AJ Stravato, and Chris Samard as they come off of pit road. And yeah, Lucas, you're absolutely right with the projected fuel run that we showed earlier. That would put it where you would still have to stop 2 more times for fuel from here. Maybe able to save just a little bit here under caution. You might be able to stretch it to a 1-stop race, but if it does indeed turn into a 2-stop race, it opens the door for a lot of different strategy plays, and it's going to be interesting to see who decides to do what. As the lights are out on the pace car, we're going to get the 1 to green.
Yeah, I would have been surprised if I saw a bunch of other drivers, which I actually think Dallas Sullivan came back down pit road to top off. So, as it looks like one of the cars looks like they're not able to get their engine refired. Now able to catch back up.
I believe Seth might have been trying to save a little bit of fuel there and just didn't quite get the car refired, but back rolling now. And you're right, Dallas Sullivan did indeed come down pit road and top off, as did, I believe, James Loveland may have come down and topped off as well. And one thing about it, I've been in chat with Dallas enough to know that he's always thinking about the strategy. He's always trying to stay a step ahead and play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So doesn't surprise me to see him do that, take a little bit of a gamble on that. We'll see if it is able to pay off for him here. If we are able to go green, it might just play into his hands. Pace car pulling off. Brody Hayes, the control car. Seth Hatchell to the outside. Green flag back in the air here at Kansas. Another good jump for our race leader, Brody Hayes. He's going to lead him down into turn 1 and 2. They're going to be side by side for second place behind him.
Yeah, like you said, a great start. Now both the VSPEED teammates side by side of Seth Hatchell and Keith Mayato, with Bailey Turner looking hot on their heels. So we'll have to see how it plays out in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, Bailey Turner done a really nice job working his way back up there. Really nice recovery drive for both he and Brody Hayes, back up there in the top 3 where they were at before that earlier incident. Know that they can't be happy with the way that played out, but both drivers keeping their head on their shoulders, able to make something of it. The first battle for position here is going to be for 4th between Eric Hutton, Keith Mayato, Noah Mahalski. They are all right on top of each other. Looks like Keith may be taking it easy a little bit here early on. Eric Hutton running that top groove. He's not trying to save anything at the moment. He's trying to get up there and get to the front of this field.
Yeah, literally putting nothing in the back pocket is if this race was to go green. And one driver who's backed into a fuel saving races and won is you, Daniel. So what would you be doing in this situation?
That's easy for you to say, Lucas, but if it was me, Really, I think it depends on where you're at in the field. And I think that these drivers are already kind of thinking about it. You know, we had seen it on the initial starts and restarts. We had seen 2 wide, 3 wide, guys really getting up there and just throwing it all out there, trying to gain spots and gain track position. But early on in this run, things have kind of single filed out a lot quicker than we had seen on the previous runs. So I think it's almost a matter of, number one, where are you running at before? If you're somebody, you know, like we mentioned under that caution, Dallas Sullivan, that's running a little bit further back in the pack, it's worth trying to throw the Hail Mary strategy. But if everybody else is on that saving strategy, maybe you just say, all right, well, I'm going to get up here and push the issue, push the pace, try to force something as Bailey Turner just about sideways off of turn 2. That was a big save out of the 24. Just as I say, get up there and try to make the pace happen. He's going for the lead. So maybe he heard me. Maybe he's got the broadcast up. But these guys are now starting to race for that number 1 position.
Well, Daniel, I'm going to stir the pot a little bit more. Talked about what happened at Charlotte. And you remember what happened earlier in the race between these two drivers with Brody Hayes getting a little bit loose on the bottom. Bailey Turner is now to the inside of Brody Hayes and almost clear as Brody Hayes goes up the track, gets a little bit aeroside from his teammate of Keith Mayato and is now falling back. So give the lead to Bailey Turner and Eric Hutton come to his inside.
Yeah, give the lead to Eric Hutton with all of that going on. That 88 car said, I see a gap. I'm going to go ahead and take this. Thank you very much. He's going to take control of this race for the first time this evening. Put car number 88 up there in P1. Bailey Turner now has Keith Mayato to his inside. Give us a new player up there in the top 5 as well in the 55 of Cody Atkins. So no sooner than we were talking about everybody getting strung out, running single file. These guys done said, forget about all that. We're going to go back to running 2x2. Fuel saving or not, this is more fun. So that's what we're going to do. And they are back to racing the wheels off of these things as now Cody Atkins has gotten around Seth Hatchell for that 4th position. He's going to throw his hat into the ring for the top 3 as Stravato way up the track behind him. Looked like he may have touched the wall a little bit there, but keeps it going in the right direction for now.
Yeah, Cody Atkins looking like a carrot out there in that orange Whataburger car. Trying to turn his season around. Oh, as I say that, he gets loose and saves it.
We've got Ray Massey behind him around. He's into the wall. Caution is going to be out. Good night. You want to talk about a broadcaster curse. It hit the 55 there, but the 23 going to get the worst of that with Ray Massey there. Have to go back and take a look at this one on the VSPEED instant replay to see exactly what happened here. This is going back the lap before. You can see AJ Stravato up there on that top groove. They get cleared around there. Believe the incident may have started up a little bit ahead, like we had mentioned with that 55 of Cody Atkins. Yeah, it looked like there was contact between Cody and I believe that was Levi Cox. And then on the checkup, Ray Massey gets caught up in it. Just unfortunate set of events there for a few of our front runners. As you can see, it looks like Massey starts to check. Oh, he gets into the back of Noah Mahalski, and then just on the accordion effect, the 77 of Chris Samard actually gets into the back of Ray Massey and turns him around. So trouble for a few of our front runners here. Let's take a look back. Yeah, it looks like Cody with just slight contact from the 54. And that sends him around. You were right, Lucas. That was one heck of a save out of the 55 car there, able to hang on to it. But with this caution, we were talking about fuel strategy, talking about pit strategy. We've got a split decision up here at the front of the field. 5 cars have elected to stay out on this caution with Cody Atkins, Chris Samard, Jace Cully, Dennis Faircloth, and Alan Dice going to be your top 5 with staying out here. First car, actually, I'm sorry, there's 2 others that stayed out as well. That was Brody Hayes and Dallas Sullivan. So your first 7 cars have stayed out here. First car that is going to be off a pit road is going to be Eric Hutton in that 88 car.
Yeah. I'm really questioning Chris Samard's because in that replay we kind of saw his front bumper disappear and then reappear on his car. So might be a little deceiving on how much damage is actually done to that race car. So we'll have to keep an eye on Chris Samard and see if he's able to keep pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing too, even with the drivers that pitted, there was in fact a split strategy among them as well. Have Eric Hutton, Bailey Turner, Noah Mahalski, first few drivers took fuel only, but there were some that did elect to take tires on that pit stop. I did see Seth Hatchell in the 8 car was one that actually took tires. So pit strategy is all over the place. This is about to get interesting as we approach the halfway point of our event here this evening in the KHIO 210. Lucas, is there a strategy that you feel like you would rather be on right now, or how you feeling about this at the moment?
Well, some of the drivers up might have been on pit road just a little bit longer than a normal fueling would be, is to maybe fix some of the damage. I know Seth Hatchell got some damage, maybe Noah Mahalski or a few other drivers back there. So some of them might have just fixed damage while others actually took tires. But with how many tire sets are still available, I probably would have leaned more towards the just getting fuel and then have a spare tire set later in the race in case there's a late race caution.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think fuel only may be the better call, but we're going to find out one way or another who's right, who's wrong, and who is going to roll the dice correctly here. Green flag is back in the air with Cody Atkins, your new leader, the control car. You said looked like he had that carrot with that 55 car, that orange car. The carrot's out front and everybody's chasing them. They are 3 wide for position behind that. Eric Hutton, Dallas Sullivan, Levi Cox, they are 3 wide. I'm sorry, that was Bailey Turner in the 24, not Levi Cox, beg your pardon. He's trying to gain another position here. He's going to ship it 3 wide on the bottom again with Alan Dice and Brody Hayes.
Yeah, 3x3x3 for a few rows as Bailey Turner making quick work of these drivers who's elected to stay out.
Oh, they're 4 wide getting down into turn 1. Contact between Samard and Dennis Faircloth. Dennis up into the wall out of that. Clear Bailey Turner to the P2 position. He has just been flying on this restart, absolutely blinding restart out of the 24. He's going to look to the inside of Cody Atkins, and he is going to try to take the lead. He's going to do better than try. He's going to clear for the lead off of turn 4.
Yeah, he's literally shot out of a rock right now, and one driver he's trying to chase him down is Keith Mayato. It's there 3 wide with Carrot Man and Jace Coley in the middle. He's going to get clear. Now, Keith Mayato is going to try to run down Bailey Turner with Seth Hatchell behind him, his VSPEED teammate trying to pull him through.
Yes, Seth Hatchell up there trying to take that 3rd position, as you had mentioned. Cody Atkins up there on the top of 3 wide. He's going to get into the wall just a little bit. Chase Cully is going to clear for that position. Put Cody back to 5th. Seth Hatchell up to 4th. Jace Cully in 3rd. Meanwhile, the battle is on for the lead. Keith Mayato to the outside of Bailey Turner. He's trying to take that lead back.
Yeah, that's just the power of fresh tires after a few laps here at Kansas. Really eats at your tires, kind of like old Atlanta, but not to the same degree. It's more of a tire temperature thing here, in my opinion, Daniel. You can elaborate more, but it feels like if you heat up your right rear just a little bit too much, it kind of kills your long run speed.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to do, and especially with these ARCA cars, you kind of feel like you have all the grip in the world starting off. The one thing too, you and I are both comparing notes to what we know from the iRacing fixed setups. This being a custom setup could make it a little bit different where you can drive just a bit harder. But, we have seen drivers struggling with that rear grip off of the corner exit here this evening. So I think there is going to be a degree of tire saving that you can do that and try to make some time later in the run. But right now up front, They're saying, I don't care about tire saving. Bailey Turner says, I want to get this lead and I want to take it from Keith Mayato. He's looking to the inside. Seth Hatchell close behind in third. Cody Atkins still hanging tough back there in fourth, with Levi Cox now up to fifth. So as we talk about tire saving, they just go side by side and throw all of that out the window.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like a race of knees out there, as you would say, Daniel, with how aggressive these drivers are being. And one driver I'd like to point out is Cody Atkins, battling for fourth right now. Stayed out during that caution, still running inside the top five with everything he's been through since that restart.
Yeah, Cody doing a really nice job of hanging with these leaders here. Did not know how it would fare for him, especially with that big slide that he had right before that caution came out. But so far, it doesn't look like it's hurt him too bad. Levi Cox back up there where we have seen him all night long, ripping that high line. He's got the momentum off of turn 4. He's going to try to take that spot from Bailey Turner. Again, one of the few that we've seen make it work, but we've also seen him struggle with grip as we get later on into the run. But for right now, he's throwing all of that out the window. He's going to go for second here on Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, trying to get everything out of those fresh Eagle Feel Goods tires underneath them, as he's still battling to the outside of Seth Hatchell. Now looking to the inside of Keith Mayato going to turn 3 and 4. Almost clear to see if he slides up. Keith Mayato is going to slide in right behind him, give him a little bit of a nudge coming out of turn 4, and he's going to bump draft with him through the tri-oval.
Yeah, Keith Mayato tucked right up behind the bumper of that 54 car. He's going to look back to the inside. Levi Cox right up there where we've seen him all night. Up there in the attic, up on top of the track. He's able to hold that lead, keeps the momentum off of turn 2. And man, that, I did not expect to see the 36 stay tucked up that close behind the 54 down the straightaway. Thought he might try to do a crossover. Nothing of it as they went down through the front straightaway the last time. But now, Keith Mayato with his teammate right up on his back bumper for second.
Yeah, it looked like we were back at Daytona and Talladega with how close Keith Mayato was, as now Levi Cox trying to break that draft in the top 5, trying to pull away of Cox, Mayato, Hatchell, Turner, Atkins, trying to pull away from 6th place Eric Hutton, and doing so just a little bit each lap, running a few hundredths of a second faster than Eric Hutton right now. 0.2 faster last time by.
Yeah, got to wonder if some of these guys might be starting to think that fuel strategy, as we are now past halfway in this race. Close it in on 60 laps to go here this evening. Field single filed out just a little bit here. Top 5 cars still within a half a second of each other, then about another half second, 0.4 of a second or so back. The first side-by-side position battle between AJ Stravato and Eric Hutton. Stravato going to go ahead and take that position. Up front, though, looking at that battle for the lead yet again, just as I said that they were strung out single file. Keith Mayato was trying to make a move to the inside. Looked like Levi Cox may have touched the wall just a little bit up on that high groove, as we've seen him run it as he touches the apron just a little bit there. That's going to give momentum to the 36 with help from his buddy Seth Hatchell. They're going to try to push themselves to the lead around the 54 of Levi Cox.
Yeah, teammates working really well together of Mayato and Hatchell, trying to get around the top side like Levi Cox did to them, as Bailey Turner gets in the wall, and now side-by-side battle behind the battle for the lead right now. Mayato is cleared, but Hatchell isn't right now. Let's see if Mayato gives a draft to Hatchell, and he does.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Playing a little bit of teammate game there. Got to help your friends out when you can. He is going to able to give just enough draft to the 8 of Seth Hatchell to clear for second. Levi Cox not giving it up, though. He is running that high groove. Again, gets a really good run up there on the top. He's up. He's got the momentum, rather. He's down on the bottom. He clears for second. This battle not over. They just keep trading blows back and forth here. battling for these top 3 spots.
Yeah, Levi Cox runs up top in the attic where grandmother hides the moonshine and then goes back down to the basement where grandpappy hides the rum. Really using all the lanes here tonight as we're about to be 3 wide for the lead coming out of turn 2.
Absolutely 3 wide. Seth Hatchell thinks better of it. He backs off and gives room to our 2 championship drivers. Keith Mayato clear to the lead. Levi Cox, oh, you can see him getting just a little loose there. Saw a puff of smoke. Don't necessarily think he made contact with the wall off of turn 4, but man, was it close. He's up there now. He's ripping the Larson line, putting it up on the boards, trying to get some more speed out of that 54 car. And I just can't help but wonder if we're going to start to see the same trend that we've seen throughout the evening, where that 54 just starts to struggle with rear grip. You can kind of see it a little bit there through 3 and 4, wiggling just ever so much, really close off of 4 between Mayato and Cox. Seth Hatchell trying to push his teammate to the lead. Top 3 all under a blanket. That has also allowed Bailey Turner, Cody Atkins, and a new player up here for the lead, AJ Stravato, has now caught on to this lead pack.
Yeah, and not far behind Stravato, Eric Hutton is now starting to reel in this lead pack. And it's like you said, with Levi Cox really starting to struggle with that rear end grip now as both the VSPEED teammates go to his inside in the tri-oval. Bailey Turner deciding what lane he wants to go with. He elects to go back down to the bottom. Thought about shooting it 3 wide with Seth Hatchell and Levi Cox. Now coming out turn 2, Levi's going to get the run. Let's see if he can get the clear going into turn 3 on Keith Mayato.
Yeah, Levi Cox had the momentum, but the draft on the bottom. Bailey Turner says, I'm going to go ahead and try this bottom groove out myself. He's to the inside of Seth Hatchell for 3rd place now. Top 4 cars, 2 by 2 for the top 4 positions. At the line that time, Levi Cox had it by just a fender out in front. He is still just driving it in for everything it's worth up there on that top groove. Looks like he maybe found a little something to make this last just a little bit longer up on that high side. He's able to clear side by side, though, for position number 3 behind Keith Mayato. It's Bailey Turner, Seth Hatchell, Cody Atkins throwing his hat in the ring for that top 5 as well.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, if 2 more cautions come out, Cody Atkins still has 2 sets of tires. Not really too sure about Levi Cox, Keith Mayato, Bailey Turner, Seth Hatchell. They might only have 1 set left. So Cody Atkins still running in this top 5 might play dividends for him if there's late race cautions back to back, being able to use those fresh Eagle feel goods as Levi Cox drifts up the track in front of Keith Mayato. Let's see what Keith does going into turn 1. Will he go to the top? Will he go to the bottom? Keith Mayato goes to the bottom. Cox runs the top, running that Larson line like we've been talking about all night. Cody Atkins now to the outside of Seth Hatchell coming out turn 2.
And you are absolutely right as they go 3 wide down into the turn. Not quite 3 wide, though. Cody able to clear for that position number 3. Bailey Turner to the inside. He is going to clear for 4th. Side by side for 5th between Seth Hatchell, AJ Stravato. These drivers using every inch of the racetrack. And you're absolutely right, Lucas. You mentioned that tire strategy. Right now, we are seeing a little over a second a lap of fall off. So depending on how the cautions play out, if Cody Atkins can catch one at the right time where he's got an extra set that some of these other drivers don't, could fall right into his hands. Take a look a little farther back. They are 3 wide between Samard, Hutton, and Brody Hayes back here in 8th, 9th, and 10th. 3 wide across the line, not yielding an inch of position. Look a little further up. They're thinking 3 wide for the 3rd position as well. That's Bailey Turner on the bottom. Cody Atkins slides up in front of the 8 of Seth Hatchell. He's going to clear for 3rd as they are also side by side for the lead.
Yeah, there's action all over this racetrack right now. And we talked about it earlier with Eric Hutton starting to fall back a little bit. He's now starting to catch this lead back as now 3 wide for the lead with Cody Atkins, Levi Cox, and Keith Mayato now starting to settle back out 2 wide. Levi Cox on that top. Cody Atkins right on the bumper of Keith Maiato. Levi Cox going to get a run. Bailey Turner now looking to the inside of Seth Hatchell. Cody Atkins still holding on really, really strong with those older tires.
Levi Cox was basically shoving Keith Maiato down that back straightaway. Maiato clear to the lead, side by side for second, side by side for fourth behind that. The top 5 all right under a blanket. You could basically say the top 10 all under a blanket right now. Oh, is that Seth Hatchell up in the wall through 3 and 4? He's going to lose a couple of spots. Up front, though, it is going to be Bailey Turner with the big dive to the bottom. He's inside, 3 wide between himself, Cody Atkins, Levi Cox. Oh, as Cody Atkins gets loose, he's able to, not quite able to save it, puts it through the grass, does not hit anyone. That could have been disaster up here at the front of this field, but able to keep it straight and keep it moving in the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and call that a save, even though he put it through the grass. That was a huge move out of the 55 to not turn it around and take out about half the field right there. So you can see a big wiggle out of the 55. That's going to put Bailey Turner up to second. That's going to put AJ Stravato up to third. Jace Cully is also now a new player up in the top 5. He's going to clear through to fourth.
Yeah, and a little bit of housekeeping. Max Koss tried to go down pit road, got a black flag for speeding. And I think he just left the server, if I'm not mistaken, Daniel. So that's going to end the night for Max Cox in the 63. So we'll have to see how it plays out as Levi Cox struggling with rear grip for how long he's been running that top side. Now falling back into the clutches of Seth Hatchell and Chris Samard, going to fall back to the 7th position and possibly the 8th position.
Yeah, this is something that we saw earlier out of that 54 car. Starts to struggle just a little bit here on the longer runs. Something else to bear in mind too, some of these drivers that did not pit on our most recent caution, they are currently 42 laps in on this stint. Gonna have to hit pit road here soon under green if a caution does not come out in the meantime. Of course, the caution laps that we had will help a little bit as far as the fuel consumption, being able to stretch it a little bit further, but still closing in on when we would expect to start to see some green flag pit stops. Does that look like Jace Cully touching the wall off of 4 there? Brody Hayes going to look to the inside. Those are 2 of our drivers that did not pit on that most recent caution, running up here in the top 5. So closing in on when we would expect to see them duck down off the track.
Yeah, not long now before we start to see drivers try to come down pit road. Really going to be curious to see how those fresh tires fare out for them. Currently, pace has fallen off a second compared to drivers' best lap times. That's where we're now looking for the battle of 7th position between Levi Cox and Chris Samard. And Levi Cox is just going to roll over and give the position to a fellow chase driver of Chris Samard, as another battle a little bit further back in the back half of the top 10 between Alan Dice and Angelo Ronis.
And this past lap, 2 of our chase drivers did duck down pit road. That was Jeremiah Hobbs in the 31, Jake Bakke in the 13. They both hit pit road. They're going to be our first takers here this evening, and I think that is going to open the floodgates. This should actually put everybody in their pit window to make it to the end here. So you can see Jace Cully also going to hit pit road, Cody Atkins, Dennis Faircloth. This is that first wave that we kind of expected with drivers that did not pit on that last caution. Now, the big question that we're going to have to look at here is if you are the leaders that did pit on that last caution, you could go about another 10, 11 laps on fuel. How far do you want to stretch it? We've talked about the lap times falling off by a second. You know, do you want to continue to give up that time on track, hope for a caution where you could maybe trap some people a lap down, but you're giving up time in the process?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the problem that they're going to run into, because you have to keep in mind, if you pitted during that caution, you only have 1 set of tires left. So if you run long and a caution doesn't come out and you run out of gas, you're going to be losing so much time compared to the drivers that came down pit road. Well, the drivers that stayed out, but that came down pit road during that green flag, that still have a tire set left. And one more thing of housekeeping, Alan Dice, black flag for speeding on pit road.
Yeah, tough break for the 5 of Alan Dice. As you can see, Hahn and Sullivan also on pit road. Believe Dallas may have had an issue as well there. A little bit of an extended stop for him. But something as far as with those that pitted on that last caution, some of them did take fuel only. So even if you do come down and take tires here, some of them may still have another set like those that did not pit. Now, Seth Hatchell is one. I did see him put on tires during that last caution. So be interesting to see, like, how long do you wait? That's the big question, Lucas. If you're out there on track with what you've been seeing here this evening, drivers struggling for grip, how long are you waiting to come down pit road? And of course, as we say that, this battle for the lead is starting to heat up again. So hold that thought. They're side by side, Maiato and Turner side by side for the lead, with AJ Stravado trying to close in here as well. Bailey Turner still down on the bottom. He's trying to pull that position, but Maiato with the momentum up on the top groove.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on, and there might have been a crash coming down pit road, so we'll have to wait and see once this battle decides to settle out what actually happened between Brody Hayes and Alan Dice and Dallas Sullivan. There's a lot going on in this track right now, Daniel, but one thing that's definitely going on is this battle for the lead. Bailey Turner looking the inside, AJ Travado laying in wake, and also lurking behind is Seth Hatchell.
And they're approaching the lap car of Rob Liedl here up on the top side. So gonna have to navigate the lap traffic as Keith Maiato able to get by. Rob doing a nice job yielding position to those that are battling for the lead right now. But Maiato able to pull just a little bit of a gap as they got around that 080 car of Rob Liedl up in the 11th position after that earlier crash that he had this evening. So far a good recovery from him. Right now, though, our top 11 have yet to pit. The first driver that has come down pit road and taken tires is our 12th place driver of Jeremiah Hobbs. Currently, just looking at the lap times, Jeremiah running a 30.75 compared to the leaders running a 31.50 right now. So definitely some speed in those fresh tires. The real question here that we were getting ready to touch on is, when do you come down pit road? Keith Maiato says, I'm coming down now. It looked like the 36 may have had a little bit of an issue getting onto pit road. I didn't quite see if he got it slowed down or not, but boy, that 36 car was sideways. And actually going back and looking now, I believe he did spin all the way out getting onto pit road. So gonna be some lost time. Not sure if he has a penalty. I believe he was able to make pit speed and also make the commitment cone, but definitely gonna be some lost time for Maiato.
Yeah, definitely gonna lose a lot of time, like you said, Daniel. And while these two teammates of Bailey Turner and AJ Stravado, let's take a look at some incidents that happened throughout this pit stop cycle. We've seen a bunch of issues pop up on our relatives. So let's take a look at what happened to James Loveland.
Yeah, gonna cue it up on the VSPEED instant replay here. See, the 02 of Loveland is exiting pit road, and there are a few bumps down there on the bottom of the track that can make this pit road a little bit difficult to navigate. Looks like, so that actually was not the issue there for the 02. Looks like the incident may have taken place with another driver there actually ahead of him. Saw a little puff of smoke from in front of that 02. quite catch what happened there in front of him, though.
Not really too sure what happened, but let's go back to the action here, Daniel.
And as you can see, Bailey Turner has hit pit road. That's going to complete his green flag pit stop. It's also got Hutton on pit road, Mahalski, Stravato all on pit road as it stands. So top three, that's going to basically complete our pit cycle here. And that is going to cycle a new leader up to the front. That's going to be Jeremiah Hobbs in the 31, now taking over as the race leader as a result of that undercut.
Yeah, and one thing, when he had fresh tires, he started running the fastest laps of the race. But also, not too far behind him, Chris Lamard and Jace Coley. Noah Mahalski got a black flag going down pit road. So definitely going to be interested to see how these two strategies start to play out, as right now was going to see Angelo Horones is currently running 0.6 of a second faster than Jeremiah Hobbs, so we'll have to see how these two strategies play out.
Yeah, the first driver that is on the fresher tires currently is Bailey Turner, who is running in 7th position in that 24 car. And just taking a look at some of the lap times out of the top 5 now cars that are ahead of him, he's at least a half a second a lap faster than any of the cars in the top 5, up to about 0.7 of a second faster. So as you can see there is that 24 car of Bailey Turner looking to the inside of Levi Cox. Just not a lot you can do there if you're the 54 car. And I would venture to say, I believe Bailey Turner is going to be able to make some quick ground here. He was actually about 0.7 of a second faster than our race leader, Jeremiah Hobbs, on that last lap. You can see right there just how much faster those fresh tires are. So this particular pass right here, not for position, that is a lap car that he is going around, but still you can just see how much faster those fresher tires are than what the others around him are working with as he pulls that gap down to about 3 seconds.
Yeah, with my math, Daniel, it seems like with about 5 to 8 laps to go, Bailey Turner should theoretically be our new leader if his fresh tires can stay underneath him. And also, Levi Cox is still staying pretty close behind Bailey Turner, so he has to make no mistakes from here on out. So really interested to see how these two strategies play out, as we had a battle for the lead starting to heat up between Jeremiah Hobbs and Chris Samard. Jeremiah Hobbs running that top line, and Chris Samard running the bottom. As you see, Jeremiah Hobbs
in the wall
gets really loose and into the wall out of turn 2.
And this is exactly what Bailey Turner wants to see. The top 3 drivers all within 0.2 of a second. Not only that, but they are racing each other, looking side by side between Chris Samard, Jeremiah Hobbs, Chase Cully lurking behind in that 3rd position. All the while, Bailey Turner has closed the gap down under a second. He was 0.9 faster that last lap. It's almost like you can hear that Jaws theme playing in the background with that 24 creeping in. These drivers going to have to get it sorted out quickly if they're going to try to hold off the 24. As you can see, Bailey Turner is now closing in quickly on Jay Scully, looking to the inside. Up front, side by side for the first position rather, for the lead. Hobbs still up there, ripping the top, trying to keep that momentum up. Chris Samard down on the bottom. Here comes Bailey Turner. He's going to look to take it 3 wide on the bottom, down the back straightaway. He's got the fresh tires. He's got the momentum. He is going to be able to take the lead here. He is going to easily clear, put the 24 car on the point as there's contact behind. Jeremiah Hobbs into the wall. Everybody able to keep it straight for now, but that's going to put Chris Samard up to 2nd, Brody Hayes up to 3rd, with Cully and Cox behind, rounding out your top 5.
And that's just the advantage of fresh tires, as we've been talking about. Bailey Turner pitted lap 109, Brody Hayes 102, Levi Cox 103. The other drivers 5 laps or more later. So even though it doesn't seem like a lot of time, each lap that you run, that's just shredding tenths of a second off your lap time.
You are absolutely right. And one thing too that those fresh tires are doing, something that we hadn't really seen a whole lot of throughout the night, is a driver able to gap the field a little bit here, as Bailey Turner has pulled out to about 0.7 of a second now over second place of Brody Hayes. Levi Cox up to third, AJ Stravato up to fourth. Stravato actually turning lap times that are about on par with Bailey Turner. Does have fresher tires by 1 lap. Not sure if it's going to be enough to get him up there, but the tire advantage definitely helping the 24 to pull out of to a little bit of a lead here to be able to kind of break that draft for the first time tonight.
Yeah, currently a 0.9 of a second gap over Brody Hayes and a 1.3 second gap over Levi Cox. So he's definitely putting those tires to use, as now AJ Stravato is going to take a crack at trying to get around Levi Cox. Levi Cox running that middle line, AJ Stravato wrapping that bottom. He's going to get side by side with Levi Cox coming out of turn 2.
Stravato does have 7 lap fresher tires than that of Levi Cox in the 54. We've also seen Levi struggle from time to time on the longer runs here this evening. AJ Stravato going to be able to clear for that 3rd position easily there off of turn 4. Gonna set his sights now on Brody Hayes for that P2 position, and still running really competitive lap times to the leader even with that pass for position. So don't count the 33 of Stravato out just yet, but gonna have his work cut out for him if he wants to get up there and mount a challenge for the win.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. And I'm going to stir the pot a little bit more. Remember Charlotte, Daniel? Been talking about it all night. This was a battle for the win at Charlotte in the closing laps. Lap traffic played a little bit of a factor between Brody Hayes and AJ Stravato. A little bit of contact was made, which ultimately let Brody Hayes get the win. Now, AJ Stravato on the heels of Brody Hayes entering 3 and 4, running faster lap times than Brody Hayes, running the same line as Brody Hayes. Let's see what happens between these two drivers as they come out of 4.
And not only running similar lap times to Brody Hayes, but also running faster than our leaders currently. And back behind this, there was actually an incident involving one of our chase drivers. That's going to bring out a caution. Saw Eric Hutton in the 88 through the infield. It looks like the 55 of Cody Atkins involved. Jace Cully in the 65 involved. This is going to change everything. Take a look at the VSPEED instant replay, and contact between Hutton, Cully, and Angelo Ronas. Just an innocent bystander there, riding along right behind it. See if we can get another angle of what happened here. That was huge contact, and a lot of that also probably the result of the tire difference and the speed difference that we were seeing as a result of that. See Hutton wrapping that bottom. Jace Cully looks like he's struggling just a little bit with grip. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell from that angle if Hutton already had a nose there and the 65 moved up the block, or if he just got loose. See if we can ride on board maybe with the 88. See if we can see what happened from his vantage point. Let's pick up the action here off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. See Hutton driving it to the inside lane, just a bit of a wiggle out of Jace Cully in the 65. Oh, it looks like there may have been just maybe a touch of net code there as well, but the 65, it looked like just got loose and just comes up in front of Eric Hutton, just trying to save it. But at any rate here, Lucas, that changes everything. We have split strategy out on the track as well with this caution. We've got a couple of cars that are going to stay out here that are going to inherit that track position. Levi Cox is actually going to be your race leader, it looks like, when all of this shakes out. So curious to see how all of this is going to change. And actually, I believe Levi Cox was the only one of our lead lap cars that stayed out. There were a couple waiver rounds after that. So he's on Gilligan's Island right now, out there by himself in that 54 car. Probably needed just a few friends to stay out with him. And yeah, it looks like Levi Cox was in fact the only lead lap car that stayed out. There was Keith Mayato, Noah Bahalski, Seth Hatchell were all trying to stay out, it looks like, to take a waiver round. Well, Levi has foiled those plans, but first off of pit road is going to be Bailey Turner with Brody Hayes, AJ Stravato, Chris Samard, your top 5. James Loveland now going to be up to 6th. Jeremiah Hobbs 7th. Dennis Faircloth in 8th. Jake Mackey in 9th. Michael Robinson now going to be up to 10th. As the lights are out on the pace car, Lucas, we're going to be restarting just outside of 10 to go. How you feeling about this one as we get down near the end of this thing?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel. It looked like some drivers might have taken only right side tires on that pit stop. So trying to use those right side tires to get a little bit of extra rotation. Car might have been a little bit tight, but we saw it with Cody Atkins on those old tires, still able to duke it out with multiple laps, older tires than drivers who just pitted and got fresh tires. So Levi Cox might not be out of this yet. If I was him, go as soon as you get into the restart zone and just use the air to kind of block the drivers behind you from getting a run.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the first times that we've seen a restart with old tires up on that front row. We've seen it with, maybe a few laps, but not 20 plus laps as we are about to see. Pace car has pulled off. Levi Cox is going to be your control car. Brody Hayes on the outside as they approach the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Good jump for Levi Cox. Was concerned about some tire spin for him, but nothing of the sort. He's going to clear for the lead. Battle is on for second. Brody Hayes on the inside. Bailey Turner on the outside. Battle is also on for fourth behind them with Chris Samard, AJ Stravato. I think that 54 car is going to have his work cut out for him as they're beating, they're banging, they touch between the 37 and 24. They're still banging doors. They still touch through 3 and 4. Chris Samard tries to look to the inside. Not quite there. Brody Hayes is going to look to the inside for the lead. They are 3 wide coming through the tri-oval. Brody Hayes to the inside with help from Chris Samard. He is going to clear for the lead. You still got Bailey Turner up on that top side, ripping the fence, trying to carry the momentum. He's going to be side by side as they head down into turn 3.
Yeah, the Hayes and Turner rivalry continues. Turner trying to use Levi Cox as a pick and didn't let up, using him with the slower speed to make Brody Hayes have to lift. As Brody Hayes is going to look to the outside in the tri-oval. Outside, Bailey Turner. Turner gets a good run through 1 and 2, but will Brody Hayes get that run that we've been seeing all night out of turn 2, right to the back bumper of Bailey Turner? Looks to the outside, looks to the inside, back to his back bumper in 3 and 4.
Bailey Turner throwing the blocks. We're inside of 10 to go. This time at the line, it's time to put everything out there, throw them up on the dash, and give it all you got. Bailey Turner leads, Brody Hayes second, Chris Samard in third, AJ Stravato not far behind. Hayes to the outside, he's on the quarter panel of the 24, trying to stay up there in side draft. Chris Samard behind him, gonna work with him, try to push him. That's gonna clear, not quite clear rather, Brody Hayes. Bailey Turner drives it in for everything it's worth in 3 and 4. He's going to pull the slider. Hayes looking back to the inside. They touch, coming to the line. The lead is still with Bailey Turner.
Yeah, you have teammates of Bailey Turner and AJ Stravato. You have to keep in mind, been talking about it all night. Hayes ruffled the feathers of both Turner and Stravato at Charlotte. Now, Brody Hayes has his teammate of AJ Stravato behind him. So, Team VSPEED versus Turner and Stravato. Man, they are really putting their chips on black right now as they are giving no space between each other. I'm starting to get flashbacks to how that race ended here at Charlotte.
I'm starting to get flashbacks to how it ended at Richmond as well. 3 wide across the line. Oh, as Dennis Faircloth gets into the wall back behind him, he was up into the top 5, able to keep it going. Out front, though, Bailey Turner has cleared for the lead, starting to set sail a little bit here. AJ Stravato to the inside of the 37. They're door banging, they're touching, coming down the front straightaway. AJ Stravato, you've been talking about it, Lucas. Maybe that was a little bit of, hey, I haven't forgot from the Italian Stallion in the 33. He's going to clear for that second position. But as we say that, here comes James Loveland. He's going to try to go ahead and take that spot. First time we've seen him up in this position all night. Brody Hayes not backing off. He is behind this side-by-side battle for second.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind, we really haven't touched about it all night. James Loveland, another one of those VSPEED drivers. So we have 3 VSPEED drivers in the top 5. As now, Chris Samard stuck in the middle between Dennis Faircloth and Jeremiah Hobbs. So right now, Turner, Stravato, teammates, first and second. 3 VSPEED drivers, third, fourth, fifth, trying to work through Stravato and Turner.
Battles all over the track. Up at the front, AJ Stravato has caught his teammate of Bailey Turner as we get inside of 5 laps to go here at Kansas Speedway. This track never disappoints. It hasn't disappointed today. Bailey Turner holds the lead. AJ Stravato in second. James Loveland, the first of a VSPEED trio with Hayes and Samard behind. If you're AJ Stravato, do you help your teammate? Do you play the teammate game here? Try to push him to the win? Or do you say, forget all of that, I want it myself? A little farther back, that was Dallas Sullivan in the wall. Stravato basically pushing that 24 car down the front straightaway. Top 4 cars, nose to tail, through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's definitely a battle of what you feel comfortable with. If you're AJ Stravato, currently butt drafting Bailey Turner into 3 and 4. James Loveland now caught on the heels of AJ Stravato. Now 3 wide as we come out of turns 3 and 4. James Loveland stuck in the middle. Jeremiah Hobbs now looking to be inside and back 2 by 2. Brody Hayes going to lose a little bit out of that exchange, falling back to the 5th position, battling his teammate Jeremiah Hobbs, now on the heels of AJ Stravato.
Jeremiah Hobbs, one of our chase drivers, he wants to get up there and he wants to make his name on this race. We've seen that good short run speed out of the 31 all night. That's what you need as they're wrecking behind. Dennis Faircloth into the wall. The 0-2 of James Loveland also around. Big damage on the front straightaway. Caution is out. We are going to be racking them up for a green-white checker finish here at Kansas Speedway. Gonna have to take a look at the VSPEED instant replay for this one to see exactly what happened. You see they were 3 wide coming through there, 3 wide with the 77. Oh, just looks like, it looked like Chris Samard got a little bit loose and I didn't even see the massive hit that Eric Hutton took there. Just nowhere to go, wrong place, wrong time, innocent bystander in all of that. It looked like it started with the 77 of Chris Samard getting a little loose, 3 wide in the middle there. Made some contact with the 0-2 of Loveland as we watch it back another time here. Yeah, actually, he didn't even make contact with Loveland at first. He just came down the track trying to save it when he made contact with Faircloth. Shot him up the track, and as you can see, that 88 of Eric Hutton just absolutely destroyed. We're going to take one more look here on board of the 88 car of Eric Hutton. I really did not see that hit initially for the 88 car. Just minding his own business here, trying to make some ground. It looked like he had it all but cleared. And then Dennis Faircloth, through no fault of his own, shot back up the track. Just nowhere for Hutton to go in that National Guard machine. But Lucas, we've seen it before. We're getting ready to see it again. We're going to have another green-white checker finish here in BTDY here at the KHIO 210. Going to be a little bit more than 210 tonight. Buddy, I think I'm about ready to lose my voice from calling this race. What do you think we're getting ready to see here on this next restart?
I definitely think we're going to see a lot of fireworks here tonight. You know, we saw it a little bit between AJ Travato and Brody Hayes, and I expect that continue as we're about to have a restart. And I think the fireworks between those three drivers of Turner, Travato, and Hayes is just going to get more into what is going to happen and what will affect the outcome of the race. You know, I like stirring the pot, so we'll have to see how it plays out, Daniel.
Well, the one thing that the 24 of Bailey Turner is going to have working for him here, he's going to have his teammate restarting behind him. That's definitely going to play to his advantage here, as you see Dennis Faircloth there driving around with his hood up in the air. Well, at least on your screen, he's driving around with his hood up in the air. I don't know if it's showing that way on his or not, but if it is, and he's able to keep that thing in a straight line, more power to him. That is actually pretty impressive. I'd have done put that thing in the wall again. But at any rate, lights are out on the pace car. Front row, you're going to have Bailey Turner on the inside, Jeremiah Hobbs on the outside. Second row, Stravato and Hayes. Behind them, you've got Jake Mockey, Levi Cox, Chris Samard, Dennis Faircloth riding around with a car that looks like it's bound for the scrap heap right now. Still in 8th. Ray Massey, James Loveland rounding out your top 10. And things are about to get wild. I can't help but chuckle at Dennis, poor Dennis back there. Night gone south very, very quick for him. Probably just trying to ride around and salvage what he can out of this with only 12 cars currently showing on the lead lap. Don't blame him a bit for that. They're already starting to try to bang doors with each other as we come through under pacing here between the 24 and the 31. Folks, grab your favorite drink, whether it's a beer or whatever it is, and get ready for 2-lap shootout here for the win at Kansas Speedway. Pace car is off. Bailey Turner, the control car. We are in the restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and a good jump for Bailey Turner. Good jump for AJ Stravato. They're both going to clear the second place car of Jeremiah Hobbs, put Jake Mockey up there into the top 5. He's up to 4th. Battle is on for 4th on back as they're side by side.
Yeah, coming out of turn 2, the battle between Hayes and Mockey right now. Now Jeremiah Hobbs looking to the outside of AJ Stravato. Almost there. We'll see if he can get the run. Coming out of turn 4, they go up the block. Hobbs goes back down to the inside. Bailey Turner comes down the block. And now Hobbs still look to the inside. 3 wide for the lead. He drifts up.
Oh, they made contact. Bailey Turner is around. The field is wrecking behind. That's going to clear AJ Stravato to the lead. We're racing back to the checkered flag. Brody Hayes in 2nd. James Loveland currently showing in 3rd. But out front, it's all the 33 car, the Italian stallion himself. AJ Stravato is going to survive the carnage. He's going to win here at Kansas with Brody Hayes in 2nd. 3rd place, it looks like, was James Loveland in all of that. That was absolutely wild on that last lap between the top 3. We're going to have to go back and unpack what just happened there. I don't even have words for what we just saw. As you can see, AJ Stravato's car crab walking back around here. This race was on once that 31 car of Jeremiah Hobbs got the run through 3 and 4. You can see there coming to the white flag. He goes to the inside. Bailey Turner going to try to throw a little bit of a block there, just a bit too late. Hobbs, it looks like, may have even still been on the apron once he got down in there, but that turns the 24 car around. That collects a good portion of the field. Saw Ray Massey with big damage there. Like Brody Hayes got through it for the most part without any damage. Jake Mockey got big damage out of that as well. Yeah, just a really shallow entry there out of the 31. See Chris Samard. Oh, good Lord. You see the 30 or the 13 car of Jake Mockey was up there in the catch fence for a moment. And that was absolute calamity there. We're going to ride on board here. I believe this is Jake Mockey we're riding on board with. It gets into to the back of the 13 or the 31 there after contact was made, and just nothing that Maki could do there. As you can see, parts and pieces strewn all over the racetrack. That was a wild finish, Lucas.
It definitely was. I wasn't expecting it to be to that extreme. Definitely fireworks played out, like I said, before we took that green-white checker, Daniel.
Absolutely. Well, while the drivers are celebrating, or maybe not celebrating, depending on which side of the equation you're on here, we're going to take a quick commercial break, let them get things sorted out, and we're going to be back with your full race rundown, as well as a word from our top 3 podium finishers. Stick around. We will be right back here with you on VSPEED.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
We've been around since 1946, originated as a scrap yard and evolved into a full-on steel service center, buying and selling new steel products of light fabrication, such as cutting, shearing, bending, threading. We also run a wholesale pipe, valve, and fitting plumbing division, as well as a retail showroom outlet. And then we also are a full-on structural steel fabricator, which is the skeletal steel that you see in commercial and residential structures. We sell to a wide variety of contractors, plumbers, maintenance type personnel, underground utility companies. We sell anything from single nuts and bolts to like a typical hardware store type of feel, one fitting, to full semi-loads of pipes. We're a little deeper in our inventory, and we actually have maybe a little more specialized type of fittings and such. Stock quite a diverse inventory, so we try to keep everything here to keep you guys going.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
welcome back to Kansas Speedway, where we just saw an absolutely wild finish here in the FloridaSkinDoctor.com BTDY Racing Series here in the KHIO 210. We're going to give you a full race rundown here to take a look at where your favorite drivers finished this evening. Up 20 places from where he started, the Italian Stallion, AJ Stravado, going to come home with the win tonight. Brody Hayes coming home in P2. James Loveland rounding out our podium. He is also up 21 spots from where he started tonight. Actually, our biggest mover of the evening gets that honor by 1 spot over AJ Stravado, up 21 positions. He's going to come home in third. Michael Robinson, Chris Samard rounding out your top 5. Rest of your top 10, Ray Massey, Levi Cox in 7th. Dennis Faircloth, hood up on the windshield and all, brings it home in 8th. Bailey Turner, after the last lap calamity, still going to bring it home in 9th, with Jake Mockey coming home in 10th.
In 11th, we have Angelo Horonis. In the 029 in 12th, we have Jeremiah Hobbs. Saw him make that late dive into turn 1, making contact with Bailey Turner on that last lap. In 13th, we have the 03 of Noah Mahalski. 14th, we have the 25 of Paul Hahn. 15th, we have the 8 of Seth Hatchell. 16th, the 36 of Keith Mayato. 17th, the 46 of Dallas Sullivan. 18th, my pick for the chase, runs into problems with that big wreck, Eric Hutton in 18th. 19th, we have the 65 of Jace Coley. And Daniel, the bad luck continues for Carrot Man, Cody Atkins in the 55, finishing in 20th position.
Yes, sir. If anybody has any good luck charms, I am sure that Cody Adkins would gladly accept at this stage of the game. Rounding out the rest of the field, you've got Rob Liedel coming home in 21st, Alan Dice in 22nd, Max Cost in 23rd. Coming home in 24th, you've got Ryan Phillips, Adrian Loya in 25th, and Zach Smith. I'm not sure if he turned a lap or not here this evening, but he's going to come home in the 26th position to round out our field. Lucas, what do you say we go ahead and bring up the first driver that's been patiently waiting? We're going to get a word with our race winner here, AJ Stravado. AJ, this is Daniel and Lucas up in the VSPEED booth. You got us, buddy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, man, I know you haven't run the full season and you've run a couple races here with us before, but good to see you back in victory lane. That was an absolutely chaotic finish there. Just walk us through what was taking place from your perspective there on that final green-white checker.
Yeah, that was a wild finish. I gotta say, I feel for Bailey. He ran a pretty much perfect race, pretty much till the end right there, and had the 31 wreck him pretty much. I don't know what other way to say it. That was pretty unfortunate to see that. But yeah, my goal was, until the white flag or, turn 3, work with the 24. He's my buddy and teammate, obviously. Battling for a championship against Brody, Keith, who I think had a speeding penalty, and a couple other guys up there. So, my job was to be a good teammate, just make sure he got as many points as he could. And, obviously, if we're going to race for the win at the end, race cleanly. And unfortunately, somebody else took that out of our hands, but try to stay off of him. I think getting into 1 when he was sideways right there, but just didn't have enough time to check up, unfortunately. But I guess it worked out for us. So it's good to get in victory lane after, feeling like I should have been in there last week when I got moved for the win. So all in all, feel bad for Bailey, but, it's always good to win.
Yeah, you talked about it a little bit with getting moved out of the way by Brody Hayes. We saw you two door banging. Was the rivalry still there between you and Brody Hayes, you feel like, or was that just hard racing?
Just racing other people how they race me all the time. If people want to move me out of the way, make sure I'll happily race you like that each and every week until I figure out how to drive properly. So that's really all I got to say about that.
Well, AJ, It's good to have you back up here in the booth. Good to see you bring home the W tonight. Before we let you go, who you want to thank, any sponsors or shout outs?
Just guess all my teammates, Bailey, Angelo, and Eric. Unfortunate they didn't have the innings and runs they deserved, but it's always good to race with some good buddies and good teammates. And my road and oval team, Next AC Sports, good to get them in victory lane.
Right. Well, there you have it from our race winner, the Italian stallion himself, AJ Stravato. Congrats again on the win, buddy. I'm sure that we'll be talking to you up here again before this season's out.
That's the goal, brother. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. All right. That was our race winner, AJ Stravato. Let's go ahead and grab a word with our second place finisher, Brody Hayes, in that 37 car, our highest finishing chase driver tonight. Brody, this is Daniel Lucas up here in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, really nice recovery from that incident that took place early in the race that ended up being our competition caution. You definitely got behind the 8 ball on track position there early with that spin. Once you got back there in the field, what was your mindset just trying to work your way back up throughout the evening?
Yeah, it was unfortunate what happened there earlier in the race. Like the lap car just kind of caught us off guard, and I bobbled, got loose, and got into Bailey. And I apologize, but I mean we're worried about the lap car there. But no, I mean it sucks going to the back like that early. But there's a lot of time, to drive back up through the field and get into a good position to where you could just ride and save some tires and stay on the same pit sequence as everybody else. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Frustrating nonetheless, but I mean, it kind of allowed me to also see what my car drove like in traffic, so it helped out at the same time.
So my question is kind of a two-part question. First one, what was it kind of like driving through the field? Because you kind of talked about it, getting in that incident with Bailey early in the race with that lap car. And the second part, we saw a little bit of elbows out driving with you and AJ Servato. Do you think there's a rivalry there between what happened at Charlotte, or do you think that's just tough racing for the final few laps?
Yeah, I mean, driving through the field like that, it's pretty chaotic. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Some people are saving, some people are going hard. So you kind of got to be on your toes. As for the hard racing, it is what it is. What happened at Charlotte happened at Charlotte. I chalk it up as going for the win. I didn't wreck anybody. They still finished. I get the whole race how you get raced, but the whole door banging thing on purpose and whatever. I mean, it's kind of childish. But I mean, we can play into it. I mean, yeah, I'll call it a rivalry. It's fine. But we got, I don't know, 6 races left, and 6 other chances to go out there and win races. So we've shown that we can compete every week, and they're going to be right up there with me, and none of us are going to back down. So I'd expect more of the same going forward. So I'm sure it's going to continue to be pretty entertaining.
Well, really phenomenal drive tonight, getting back up there rather to the second position and highest finishing chase driver. So that should be a good points night for you here as well. Before we let you go, Brody, who do you want to thank? Any sponsors or shout outs?
Thank you guys up in the booth. This will be a good one to go back and kind of watch. Florida Skincare Doctor for hopping on board this season. Shout out to Seth. It was really good to see Seth back. I know it wasn't the comeback race that he probably wanted it to be, but it's always nice having him back in the VSPEED room. I'm sure they're all listening to my interview right now, but I'll give a shout out to my girlfriend's family for watching. Kind of told them about this whole thing, and they're supporting it 100%, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, thanks to the admins. I know it's starting to get a little chaotic, but I mean, the racing, as close as it is week in and week out, you got 10, 15 cars that are capable of winning these things in this ARCA car. It's been some real close, tight racing every race. So there's going to be a couple bumps and bruises along the way, and hopefully we can finish the year out on a good note.
All right, well, there you have it from our second place finisher tonight on Team VSPEED, Brody Hayes. Congrats on that second place finish. We'll see you next week at Watkins Glen.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Right, and we will go ahead and grab a word with our third place finisher who has been sitting by patiently waiting. And that's going to be the 0-2 of James Loveland. James, this is Daniel and Lucas up in the booth. You got us, buddy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, man, really strong run. You gained the most positions from where you started of anybody in the field tonight. And, we didn't really talk about you a whole lot, to be honest, there until you survived the calamity there on the final lap and worked your way up to third place. Just tell us a little bit about your race and just what you were fighting out there, or what you felt like you needed to maybe get up there and try to grab 2 spots better tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the finish don't show how the race was. I mean, it was a pretty rough race for me, actually. I don't know. Beginning there, I got a little loose coming off of 4. For some reason, turn 4 was just like snappy loose, and I don't know if I hit a weird bump or something, but I was just kind of cruising around and hit a bump and fell back a little bit, and then a car wrecked off of 4 many laps later, and I tried to avoid them. I ended up hitting pit road and lost a couple laps, so I had to work my way through that and get my laps back, and started to work my way up, and through that long run and everything, got myself inside the top 10, and then that caution came out, and it was just chaos from there, and somehow I was up there in the top 5 racing for the win there, and that caution, that last caution before the end of the race, just, I thought it was my fault, but after looking at the replay, it looks like we just kind of collided into each other. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably don't deserve this third place, but I mean, I'll take it.
So, Daniel talked a little bit about it with you being the biggest mover. What was it like working with your teammates once you got up there with Chris Amard, Brody Hayes, Seth Hatchell, and all of them? What was the game plan between all of you? Was it just basically kind of work together and get up to the front as kind of like a organized unit, or was it basically just every man for themselves?
I mean, we talk and work together, but I mean, to me, I'm here to win races. I'm not gonna just let them by, but I mean, if they're clearly faster and I'm holding them up, I mean, I'll let them go and let them race for the win. But I mean, the last handful of laps there before that wreck, I mean, I was trying to race for a win, and I knew they're in the playoffs, and I don't want to cause anything. Unfortunately, something happened, but yeah, I mean, I try to respect them because I know they're in the playoffs. Unfortunately, I didn't get in, but I also, I mean, I want to win a race too. I don't want to hold back and just let them race for the win.
Right. Well, James, really nice run. Good job getting up there on the podium in that third place. Before we let you go this evening, here you want to thank any sponsors or shout outs?
Yeah, thank you to you guys at VSPEED and the VSPEED team. I mean, unfortunately, some of us had pretty good days, some of us didn't, but yeah, shout out to the league and all the sponsors in the league, and yeah, pretty wild chaos there, but still a lot of fun today. Had a good run.
All right. Well, there you have it from our third place finisher, James Loveland. Congrats on the strong run. We will see you at Watkins Glen.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Right. And that is going to do it for our post-race coverage here. As far as the interviews go, Lucas, what an absolutely wild finish, a wild race in general that we saw here. And next week, we're going to be going up to the great state of New York, and we're going to be tackling Watkins Glen. I know it's one of your favorite tracks on iRacing. No matter how hard you try to get out there on the track, I'm dragging you up here in the booth with us next week because I need an expert to help me call one of these races at Watkins Glen. You fit that description. How you feeling as we get ready to head to next week?
You know, it's kind of upsetting, but it's always nice to be up in the booth. You know, I really enjoy going 3 wide on those restarts and being really aggressive into the bus stop. So it's gonna be a little bit of change of pace being up in the booth for this one, but glad to have you by my side, Daniel.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to it as we work our way into the remaining, I believe we got 5 races left here of the chase. But you're going to be able to catch us next week here on VSPEED in the FloridaSkinDoctor.com BTDY Racing Series. But folks, that is going to do it for us this evening here for our broadcast. So on behalf of all the admins here at BTDY, for Adam Baker and Bradley Cooper at VSPEED, our producer and co-commentator Lucas Lyons, and our camera angles that are courtesy of Dougie Beard, my name is Daniel Cunningham, thanking you once again for tuning in, and we will see you next week as we take on the Glen.